Much of our life is spent seeking happiness and contentment and navigating hurdles and challenges. One of the most powerful and underutilized tools for this journey is one that we all possess, namely, the ability to reason. Hence the two meanings of the book's title. Trying to make sense of the world around us and defining a meaningful way of life is what the philosophers of antiquity were concerned with. This book is a revisit to these ancient topics, but with the ammunition of modern disciplines, notably economics and game theory. Along the way, and in addition, the book explores the philosophical cracks and paradoxes that underlie these disciplines and the moral quandaries to which they give rise, and thereby hopes to engage its readers in the quest for knowledge and understanding. The book is organized as an inverted pyramid. The initial focus is on the individual and on rational choice and reasoning in everyday life, ranging from office politics to personal dilemmas. Thereafter, the book moves on to consider the well-being of the collective and the moral responsibility of groups. From the individual and the group, the final chapter turns to our largest concern, namely the globe, to discuss how we might tackle some of the problems facing our careening world. Can we, as individuals, make the world a better place? And if so, how? To begin to find an answer, I'd like to start by showing how game theory can save lives. If I were you. A few weeks after my arrival in London in 1972, as a student at the London School of Economics, I was walking through Brunswick Square when a kid threw a water balloon at me. It grazed my shoulder and did no damage. Callow, new to London, and in fact outside my native India for the first time, I hesitated for a moment, wondering if it was worth picking a fight. I decided there was no reason to do so and continued walking. Just then, a well-built man strode up to me and, making no effort to hide his disdain, more for me than the boy, said, "If I were you, young man, I would have thrashed that boy." My immediate reaction was, "No, you would not," because, as you just saw, I did not. Needless to say, given his predisposition to use physical force, I did not say this out loud. If I were you is an important part of moral reasoning, from Kantian ethics to welfare economics and game theory. Yet it is widely misunderstood. If it means literally what it says, then once I see how you behave, there is no further reason to speculate on what I would do if I were you. If, on the other hand, if I were you meant if I were partly like you, a host of interesting questions would arise. There would be a lot of ambiguity, too, because there are many possible ways in which I could be like you. Game theory involves a lot of reasoning of this kind. It's not enough to be clever. You must be able to put yourself in the shoes of the other clever person and think of what she might do, which in turn is of course based on what she thinks you might do. Given that Brunswick Square is close to the University of London, the man may well have been a professor. He may also have been good at research. However, his emotions got the better of him here. This is a common human propensity and the source of many errors of judgment, and also a large part of the motivation behind this book. This book is meant to show both why we have reason to be happy and why we must reason to be happy. To make my case, I will draw on the kind of reasoning used in game theory. Game theory is the art of deductive reasoning in social situations. For that reason, it is of value in war and diplomacy, in developing corporate strategy, and even in our day-to-day interpersonal relationships. On Tuesday, 16th of October 1962, a little before 9 a.m., President Kennedy was informed by his national security advisor, McGeorge Bundy, that a US U-2 reconnaissance plane had discovered that the Soviets had placed nuclear-armed ballistic missiles in Cuba, which could hit American cities within minutes. Kennedy's immediate problem was to decide what he and the United States should do. That decision was critically dependent on what he thought the Soviet premier, Nikita Khrushchev, would do in response to what he did. And he was no doubt aware that what Khrushchev would do would depend on what Khrushchev thought Kennedy would do in response to what Khrushchev did.